Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your new favorite cricket fan channel called Willow and Leather. This is Shravan. Thank you so much for dialing in. We're continuing this series of team preview videos that we're doing here for IPL 2024. The next team that we're going to preview is Sunrisers Hyderabad. I think it's kind of good coincidence that I'm wearing orange for this as well. But let's do a quick recap of what their recent history was like, and then we'll go from there. Right, so not the most exciting seasons last time around, finishing right at the bottom of the table. I'm sure it's not easy for a team to finish with a wooden spoon, and then trying to make a turnaround or a comeback, and try and do better next year. But that's the challenge that they have. Over the last 3 years, they've been fairly underwhelming across the board, and they've had a fair share of challenges to deal with. But having said that, I think as a part of the auction, I think they were one of the teams that had a really good auction, to be honest, bringing in the likes of Pat Cummins, Travis Head, Wanendu Hasaranga. So they have absolutely strengthened their overseas department. They spent a heck of a lot of money for Pat Cummins, but I think that was compensated a little bit by the fact that they were able to bring in someone like a Hasaranga for a base price of 1.5 crores, which was absolutely mind-blowing. So I think overall a very solid transfer window, and I think in terms of backroom staff, Dan Vettori is the new head coach, so I think he will hopefully add a sense of calmness and a sense of predictability to the backroom staff, and I think his inclusion will be crucial for this team as well. Looking at the strengths for this team, as I already mentioned, I think the set of rock solid overseas options, I think that's a big plus point for them. In fact, the entire set of 8 overseas players that they have available as a part of their squad, very, very envious position to be in, the quality of overseas players that they have in their roster. So there are, going to be 4 top picks who will feature in the playing 12, but the backups for those overseas slots are very, very strong as well, as we'll walk through in more detail. So that is definitely the biggest plus point for them. Weaknesses, I mean, to be honest, I think they've addressed a couple of key areas by bringing in some solid, overseas players. One of the key issues that has plagued them over the last 2 or 3 years has been their issues with the backroom staff in general. I think the whole coaching unit and the ownership, and the rest of the leadership group in the team there, I think they've not all been on the same page for the most part of it. And again, a lot of these details are not, things that make out to the public view. We as spectators aren't like privy to some of the conversations or discussions that happen behind the scenes. But one of the funny incidents last time around was, I think, when Aidan Markram was captain, at the toss, he was asked about whether one particular player, I think it was Umran Malik, whether he was playing or not. And his response to it was, I don't know, or rather, I think it was like, why is this player not playing? And the captain's response was, I don't know. So that was actually very, very surprising to kind of hear about that kind of miscommunication or disconnect between the players and the coaching staff. And again, we don't know how much involvement the management team or the ownership team has in some of this decision making as well. But that has definitely been a big challenge for them over the last few years. Despite having a fairly solid roster last couple of years too, I think they were very underwhelming, and a lot of it probably comes down to this fact as well. So I think that's a big weakness that they'll have to address this time around. But I think with someone like a Dan Vettori stepping in, I think he's had a few coaching gigs before, specifically in the IPL, so he knows the tricks of the trade, and I think I'm hopeful that he can bring a little bit of stability to this team for this year. Right, so my pick for the starting 12, number 1, Mayank Agarwal. I think he's not had the most effective last couple of seasons ever since he started playing for Sunrisers Hyderabad. I think there'll be a lot more expected from him this year, and I think with the inclusion of some of the other overseas players, I think this will kind of free him up a little bit more in terms of just having to focus purely on the batting and not really worry too much about the leadership part. A couple of years ago, he was the captain. Didn't really work out very well for him. They brought in Markram as the captain last year, and again, things weren't too great. So they are, looking to make some captaincy changes and leadership changes year after year. But hopefully, with no added responsibility of leadership, I think hopefully Mayank Agarwal has a good season for them, and I think that will be crucial. I think a lot of the team's success will depend on how well their domestic Indian players do. So Mayank Agarwal will have to lead that pack of domestic players and make sure that they get off to a good start. At number two to partner with him opening the innings is Travis Head. Just based on his recent form over the last couple of years, the kind of impact that he's had across different formats internationally and playing in some other leagues as well. I think he's someone who's grown by leaps and bounds in the last couple of years, both in terms of his skills and his mindset as well. Mentally, he's a much tougher player now. And we all saw glimpses of it in the WTC final and the 50 over World Cup final last year. Doesn't bring back very fond memories as an Indian fan, but I think someone like Head coming into the series with red hot form, I think he will be a great addition to this team. At number three, Rahul Tripathi, again someone who's been kind of on and off with respect to his performances. Great player, has a lot of potential, has a lot of talent. At one point made his way, squeezed his way into the Indian team as well, but then just kind of hasn't really delivered from then and hasn't grown since that position. So I think last couple of years he will want to put them behind him and really go back to being that flamboyant, extravagant player that we all know he can be. And I think this season again will be a big one for him to really step up. Again, as a part of that Indian contingent of players who needs to do well, I think Tripathi is going to be equally crucial to the team's success. Number four, Henrik Klaasen. There is no substitute for the class of player that Henrik Klaasen is. Absolutely destructive in the middle overs, especially against the spin attacks. I think he is one of the most effective hitters against spin bowling in T20, and he's proven that time and time again. Last year was just a mind-blowing season for him in the Sunrisers Hyderabad camp, and he's grown even more from then, playing in different leagues around the world, and doing impressively well there as well, and doing exceptionally well for the country in the World Cup too in South Africa. So I think he just walks into any team, covers the keeping option for the team as well. So he'll be my pick for number four. No surprises. At number five, Abhishek Sharma. Again, one of those players who's been tried at different positions, has opened the innings for a while as well, but now with someone like Travis Head coming in, I think Abhishek Sharma will be probably better suited to come in a little lower in the order, so maybe around number five. Again, one of those crucial positions that the Indian players of the camp need to fill, and they need to fill it big time. So between this combination of players, I think Abhishek Sharma adds a little bit of variety with being a left-hander as well. I think after Travis Head at the top, I think he's the only other left-hander in the middle order. So I think just having him for that variety also will be great. Can come in and bowl a few overs in some crunch situations as well, especially if the wickets are gripping and turning a little bit. So I think he adds a lot of value from that point of view too. Number six, Abdul Samad, lad from J&K. We've all seen, again, traces or hints of what he can do as a strong hitting finisher. Someone who's been doing that job very well for his state of Jammu and Kashmir, but he needs to translate that into much bigger and more impactful performances here in the IPL, and the season will be a great chance for him as well to really step up and work some magic for the team here. At number 7, Washington Sundar, again one of those exciting all-rounders, very handy with the ball, but can also tonk the ball later in the order as well. In fact, he's kind of used to batting up the top of the order for his state too. So someone who's very, very effective in different parts of the game. Very handy with the ball. One of the few, slow bowlers who can actually do very well in the power play. We've seen him do that role for RCB in the past. So again, a great value player, brings a lot to the team. And they did trade in Shahbaz Ahmed this time in place of Mayank Dagar from RCB. But I think between Shahbaz and Sundar, I think Sundar kind of is the first pick. But Shahbaz Ahmed can be a backup for either Washington Sundar or for someone like an Abhishek Sharma in the team. So that's my top 7. As I mentioned, I think the Indian group of batters here: Mayank Agarwal, Rahul Tripathi, Abhishek Sharma, Abdul Samad, and Washington Sundar. A lot of things will be dependent on these guys to be able to perform better with the bat overall, and that will kind of ease the pressure off of guys like Klaasen, who was doing a lot of the heavy lifting last time around. And then you have someone like Travis Head, I think, who can be very destructive at the top, which kind of helps Mayank free up a little bit too. I think there'll be a little less pressure on him at the top, and he can kind of ease his way into the innings as well. So that way, the top 7 looks fairly solid. Unfortunately, that means that players like Aiden Markram will be missing out from my starting 12. Again, just because of the quality of the overseas players that they've bought. Guys like Aiden Markram and even someone like a Glenn Phillips doesn't make the cut in my team here, unfortunately. But a great backup option. So if players like Travis Head or Klaasen were to be unavailable for whatever period of time in between, these guys can easily just fill into those roles and take the team forward. Right, at number 8, new captain courageous Pat Cummins, coming off the back of an emphatic, ODI World Cup victory for the team, brings a lot of experience as a leader, as a expert bowler as well. So he will add a lot of value to this team. And I think even in terms of his leadership skills, I think it is definitely a step up from the likes of Aiden Markram last year or from Mayank Agarwal the year before. So I think even in terms of leadership, the decisions that they've made, I think it is heading in the right direction, bringing in a leader of the quality and caliber of Pat Cummins. Will remain to be seen how effective he can be in the T20 format, because that's always been a question mark around him. Exceptional as a test bowler, fantastic as an ODI bowler, but sometimes in the shortest format of the game he is kind of found wanting a little bit. So that will be something to keep an eye on. But I think being officially named the captain, he will now want to do his magic with this team as well. And he has a knack of kind of leading teams effectively and bringing the best out of the players. And Sunrisers Hyderabad will be hoping for this same again with their team too. Right, number 9, I have Vanindu Hasaranga, the talisman from Sri Lanka, bought at base price this time, which was very surprising for me, but I'm sure Sunrisers would have been ecstatic with this purchase. Helps address a key gap in the bowling department, which was the lack of a quality leg spinner. So I think he adds tremendous value in there, but can also be very effective with the bat. So in last year's Lankan Premier League, he was actually the winner of both the purple cap and the orange cap, which was very interesting. Top wicket taker and the top run scorer for as an individual in the entire tournament. So he brings a lot of skill with the ball. Obviously, we've all seen what he can do, but even with the bat, he's been growing year after year, and so I think they will have some additional options to get a few handy runs down the order as needed as well. Right, so I think that pretty much covers all the overseas players within the top 9, which means my 10, 11 and number 12 all have to be domestic players. Number 10, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, again, no surprises there, leader of the bowling pack previously, and now I think he will be a good deputy to someone like a Pat Cummins, and I think between the two of them, they'll have great partnership. Both of them really good with the new ball. Bhuvi can kind of come in towards the end and bowl some key overs as well. But I think right at the top of the innings, the pair of Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Pat Cummins, I think, can cause some serious damage. So that's a great addition, obviously, for the team. So that's number 10. At number 11, Umran Malik. I think we've all seen how quick he can be, how lethal he can be on his given day. I think Sunrisers Hyderabad will just be hoping that he has more of those days in the season and can be a little bit more consistent. But, with some of the pitches across different venues that kind of favor pace and bounce, I think someone like an Umran Malik will be very handy, especially now in this year's IPL with the new rule of having 2 bouncers allowed per over. Someone like Umran Malik kind of just becomes that much more dangerous because the batsman will always have it in the back of their mind that there could be another quick bouncer coming in the over even after the first one. So I think in that sense it's an advantage for Umran Malik. Hopefully he can do really well this time around. Again, someone who got an India cap just based on some of his performances in the IPL and domestically, of course, but hasn't really been able to push off from that point and really establish himself. So he'll be kind of wanting to take this as an opportunity to improve too. And lastly, at number 12, I have T. Natarajan, the big-hearted dude from Tamil Nadu, exceptional bowler, exceptional death over specialist, has a wonderful Yorker, has a wonderful slower ball variation as well. Again, kind of been off form in the last year or so. But again, if he can come to the party this time around, I think this kind of makes it a very, very well balanced and very attacking kind of a bowling unit. So you're looking at guys like Cummins and Bhuvi to open the attack, with folks like Umran Malik coming in between, along with someone like Vanindu Hasaranga to pitch in for the middle overs. And then you have backups like Washington Sundar, Abhishek Sharma, who can bowl a few overs, and then towards the middle and later part of the innings you have someone like a Natarajan to really come out and close the innings off for you. So all in all, looking like a very healthy, balanced bowling attack as well as a batting lineup. As I mentioned previously, I think their key point that will determine whether they'll have a good season or not will be the performance of these domestic Indian batters. If they can have a good season, I think they'll be pretty well set at that point. Right. So my predictions for them for this season. I definitely anticipate a much improved performance from them overall. Hopefully there is a lot more cohesion and chemistry between the players and the leadership group and the backroom staff, and hopefully there are no issues there, because that is something that has plagued them previously. But if those issues can be addressed between the likes of Pat Cummins and Dan Vettori, I think if they can build a good working relationship, which I think they will, I think this team can do a lot of good. And that stability is, I think, what they will want to kind of take things forward. But yeah, I definitely expect them to do much better this time. But technically anything is an improvement over last year's performance, I would think. But I'm kind of predicting a top half finish for them. It might be touch and go, and they might be one of the teams in contention towards the end for the last 1 or 2 playoff spots, but I definitely have them in the mix right up until the end. And then just depending on how certain things go, they could very well make a push for the top 4 as well. But I'm certainly expecting a much improved performance. As a franchise as well, the Sunrisers have won 2 back-to-back titles now in the South African T20 League 2, so that will give the franchise a lot more confidence too. And I think they would want to bring some of that and hopefully translate some of that success into good performances in the IPL as well. I think they have the right leadership team now to do it. I think they have the right players to do it. It's just about getting the best out of them, and I think someone like a Pat Cummins and Dan Vettori will, I think, be great at pulling that off. So yeah, so that's my preview for Sunrisers Hyderabad. Let me know in the comments what you think about their chances for this season. Please do like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Pass the word along, send these videos, share these videos with your friends and family, anyone who enjoys the IPL, and we'll come back with another video previewing another team very soon. Thank you very much. This is Shravan signing off on Willow and Leather. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.